I'm issuing a warning.
That's good. Heads up.
I'm about to change the way that you think about email marketing. Because everybody always it's like, well, I mean, who wants to do email marketing? Most people are like, you know what? That's not my favorite topic. It's better than cold calling for most people, yes, I would agree with that. So the question here is why email? That's the topic of this next session here. Why email? Because most people are going to say things like, well, it never has really worked for me. You know, or they'll fill in the blank. Whatever it is that they do works better. Like texting works better, messenger bots work better, cold calling might work better for some people. They're like, I'm not doing this email thing. It's never really worked for me, and this other thing I do works better. Or I'm not a techie. I hear a lot of people say that. I'm just not a techie, and so I feel like I can't really do this email thing right now. Or I'm not a copywriter. I hear that a lot too. And by the way, that used to come out of my mouth. I used to say, oh, I'm not a copywriter. It's interesting the messages that we play in our head, right? And how they affect what we think we can or can't do. And so I'm here to change all of this for you. So email, why email? Because it's the most profitable sales channel. Email can get you as much as a 40x return on investment. 40. Name something else that does that. Huh? Oh, legal. Yeah, we got to go well, I guess we're in Vegas, so what happens in Vegas, you know. Anyway, it's very, very profitable, right? And a lot of us just have like our email list is kind of sitting over here on the table. It's within reach. We're just not grasping it, right? And so Neil Patel has this blog article that I found this on where he talks about how for every $1 of ROI spent, you can bring back $40 on email. Thought that was a very interesting thing. He has other things listed here, but I mean, I do email marketing for a large video production company. I've been I'm doing their email marketing for like over a year and a half now. They don't get 40x ROI on their Facebook advertising with those video productions. That's pretty significant, right? Email yields on average 2.5 times more as far as a conversion rate than Facebook, on average, right? And I was at an event with Steve Larson one time, and this was him just basically asking the audience, how did you all hear about this event? Like, I put this stuff out there on different channels. How did you hear about this event and end up buying the ticket and coming? And I'm telling you, like 95% of the room raised their hand when he got to email. And what we also found out during that event is that he had done advertising on one podcast, he had run one Facebook ad, and he had run, I can't do that many fingers, he had done 14 email campaigns, 14. So out of 16 methods of trying to get people there, 14 of them were email, and the reason is because it friggin' works, right? So organic reach on Facebook is down to like 2% now, maybe less. I think this might even be an old statistic. I mean, how many times have we all posted something on Facebook and then you're like, why is nobody seeing my stuff, right? It's hard to get your stuff in front of people on social media. And basically 98% then of your audience on your, let's say your social, let's call it Facebook, is not even seeing your content, right? Not even seeing it. Like, that's really frustrating. And so, we'll just look at what Russell said, because he does everything in email. You guys are probably all have gotten emails from Russell's team, right? You can't escape that. Like, somebody in the room is going to have to tell me if they didn't get me an email from Russell, because I'd be shocked. But what this basically says is he was doing a podcast. It was on his list building rant, right? And it says he's talking about email lists. There's so many different types of lists, but emails still to this day are the most powerful. That's his version of it, right? And list building, he was told one time that on average, you should make $1 per month per name on your email list. So that's crazy, right? Like, if you only have a couple thousand people, I mean, no one's turning down a couple thou, right? But what happens is when he finally got up to about 30,000 people on his email list, he had this sudden realization, and this is what this says here, that basically he could literally right? Like in the middle of the night, he could send an email to his list of 30,000 people, and he could say, tomorrow I'm going to do a training on how to wake up happier, and if you want to come to the training, pay me $10, and then he would wake up and there'd be 3,000 bucks. Huh?
That'll make you wake up happier.
That'll make you wake up happier. Yeah, charge him 100 and see what happens. I'm just saying, right? And so this is Shakir Hussain, who is well known in the ClickFunnels community, but he's over in high level now, so there you go. Anyway, he wrote a post when he was winning his third 2 Comma Club X award. So a big lot, you know, he's made over $30 million at that point. This was probably a couple years ago when he wrote this. And it was a post about, here's the 23 funnel secrets that you can benefit from. It was a 10-minute read. It ended up being like 32 things by the time he was done. But down here, number 2 was email follow-up is key to converting the majority of people who don't buy or book a call. I've been sending an email every day for 8 years now. I've built over 1 million email subscribers. I email. The more emails I send, the more money I make. Okay? Send more emails. After this post, I'm going to repurpose it as an email. Okay? This is just to kind of like show you how this is really going to make a change for your life. Email should account for 30 to 40% of your revenue. So take whatever you're making now and then add 30% to it. We'll just be conservative. That's what we're missing out on if we're not using email as a fan-freaking-tastic marketing channel, right? And I want you to think about this. An email address is the most plentiful resource on the planet in marketing terms. When have you ever seen an opt-in form that doesn't at least have an email address field on it? There are opt-in forms that have only an email address form on it. Then you can add to it from there, like, hey, I want to know your first name too, maybe even your last name. Hey, let's get a cell phone number too. But this is the most plentiful resource on the planet for any marketer. They're all over the place, right? People willingly give them to you. It's traffic that you own. The players, the rules, and all the scorekeeping stuff we just talked about, those are a known evil. We know exactly, well, I'm going to share that with you. I know you don't all know this right now, but I'm just saying, like, this is not new. These rules and all the stuff that they make us go through, the hoops they make us jump through, this is all known evil. If you're looking at texting now, there's a whole lot of unknown evil out there, right? There's like, geez, trust scores and freaking campaigns that we're trying to get approved and additional charges and which hoop am I jumping through today and what day does it due by? It's like, oh my gosh, this used to be a very profitable channel and it still is, and it will always be a profitable channel. I'm not knocking text marketing, but I'm just saying, like, there's a lot of gray area in there right now. And so this is not gray. We know how to make this game work so that we can win it. And it's almost free to run. Think about that. Like, how many times have we all in the marketing space heard somebody say, oh, I can bring you a bajillion leads, you know, in the next 7 days. And you're like, awesome. I lovingly call those people lead monkeys. Okay? They've all taken the latest course or whatever, and they've learned how to do Facebook advertising and go get you leads, and then they're going to go out and market this service, right? And what I'm looking at, I'm thinking to myself is like, why would you do that? Why would you go put all that time, effort, and money, your client's money, by the way, into getting brand new leads if they've already got a list? Because the list of people they have is their business. The list is people who've already said, I'm interested in whatever it is that you have, like your products and services. I have an interest in what you do or what you're talking about, right? So that list is a gold mine, and most people walk away from the gold mine and they go get a shovel and they dig somewhere else trying to get more leads. We need to keep filling the pipeline. This is important, right? But when you have the list, this is the focus, and it's almost free to run it. Why put ad dollars behind something when you've already got the people, right? This is the most important reason that I love email. It's because of results. Honestly, results is how I measure everything, as you guys know. And so I'm going to talk about some of those results because I want to give you some perspective, right? So J.R. Rivas is a client of mine from a while ago. Actually, I just keep helping him. He just shows up and he asks me a question and we just keep going, right? But this was the very first time I heard from him. It says, Kristen, hey, I'd love to buy an hour of your time for some email deliverability stuff. all of us are experts in our field, and we know what it feels like when somebody's like, hey, can I just pay you for an hour and you can help me fix this huge thing? And I'm like, yeah, let me just give you a checklist and we'll be done. You don't need to worry, we're good. But that's not how that works. And so he came to me, he's like, I want to double my cold outreach. And so we get on a call, and he says, I just need you to help me double my cold outreach. I'm doing like 1,000 a day. I'd like to bump it up to 2,000 a day. I'm like, cool. Tell me more about that. How's the warm looking? When these people raise their hand with some level of interest, where's the soft place that they're going to land so that we're not working really hard to get people to raise their hand so they can go over here and we're not doing anything with them? Like, how's that working? And he's like, oh, my warm is fine. So that was 20 minutes of our first conversation of me talking through, like, can we look at it? Let's take a peek at that, right? His opens were 16 to 19%. And like many marketers, he thought, I'm doing okay, right? He was getting 2 to 3 book calls a day off of that. So he was like, if I could just double my cold, then I can double all of this, right? So man, that's a lot of friggin' work. When your open rates are in the toilet, because 16 to 26% is an average open rate, average. And by the way, JR and none of us are here because we're excited to be average, right? Okay, so I said, well, hold up, let's focus on this first. Let's just shore this up and then we can talk hold, right? So he agreed to it. Within 3 phone calls and 1 week, his opens were up to 36 to 40%, and he was almost doubling his book calls per day. 3 phone calls. That was not a program, that was just consult stuff that I was doing back then. And so guess what we've never done? We've never done anything with the cold. Because actually, and I've talked to him about it several times, like, hey, where are you at on this? Do you still want to do the cold thing? He's like, no, I'm good, man. Because he sells a 5,000, at the time he was selling a 5K program, and he was like, you just doubled everything, so I'm fine. We don't need to do this right now. I'm like, so, okay. So I actually have some ideas that are worth something, right? So this is Ryan. Ryan is a current client of ours. He's been working with us for 8 months now, I think, 8 or 9 months. And a few weeks ago, after not joining a coaching call for like 6 weeks, which is concerning, right? We finally got him on a coaching call. And I said, Ryan, what is going on? Like, how are things? Haven't seen you in a while. You're kind of making me nervous, right? And he was barely able to join the program when I met him. In fact, we had to do some funky math and payment options just to get him started because he literally couldn't do it, right? And they were sending from Keep, Infusionsoft, whatever you want to call it these days. And he was running challenges, and his results were okay. They were okay, right? And so when we got on that call a few weeks ago, when he finally showed up again, he's like, yeah, here's the deal. We had set a goal as a team to reach 250K a month. Who's upset about that? That was double what he was at before he stopped talking to us for a while. And so like within a few weeks, he went from like 125-ish to 250, and he was ecstatic. He was also full on in bring people on my company mode, train them, like I need more coaches, I need all this stuff. So I asked him, I'm like, Ryan, what do you think was the biggest difference? Like, how did you double your monthly revenue at all? I mean, it doesn't even have to be me email. He's like, well, he's in these groups. He's in these groups where there's other people that do what he does. And he's like, Kristen, no one's doing what we're doing with email. No one. We're doing things with email no one else in my space is doing. And I thought, wow, that's pretty freaking cool. And I'm going to excuse you from the last 6 weeks because I think what you did was amazing. And now he's on a little pause from our program so he can make sure that all the operational stuff is coming along, and then we're going to move into the next phase. And I'm really excited about that. All right, Dan, I just have to tell you the story. I could probably tell you stories all day about Dan. One happened right before I was supposed to start talking with you guys. So he messages me. This was on a Saturday morning at 06:57. So when you get a message from Dan Henry at dark 30 on a Saturday, you kind of wonder, like, what is going on? And I'll read it to you without all the expletives, but it basically says, hey, this is going to be a stupid question. my CF account got messed up. They couldn't fix it, so I panic switched to high level. And our email deliverability was good, but now it's bleh. And I'm an impatient F, and I just want to fix it now, LOL. And my favorite question, could I fix it in an hour? And if so, what would I need to pay you to help me?
$1 million.
Right? Like, oh my God. So first I'm like, oh, I'm really sorry to hear about that, man. That sucks. And then I said, how big's the list and what kind of volume are you looking to do? I won't share the whole story with you right now, but his open rates in June, that was July 8th, by the way, Saturday morning. And his open rates for all of June were 29.9%. And that was across all email. I didn't like go cherry pick certain emails and just tell you the lowest ones. Like I just said, out of every freaking email you've sent in the entire month, like what's the open rate? I just want to know, because I needed to know how big of a problem I was going to be saying yes to on a Saturday. Which, by the way, was the weekend that our team had all gotten together with full agendas to do our quarterly strategic planning. So that Saturday wasn't just like any Saturday. It was like go, go, go Saturday. Yeah. By the second week of July, we'd gotten his opens up to 33.7. And again, it's okay. Like, I'm okay with that. You guys know I shoot for 40s, 50s, and 60s. So I'm like, okay, cool. We're moving in the right direction. Remember, I didn't actually talk to him until the 8th. So I did some stuff, like mostly technical stuff, and we kind of got to this place. And then the second 2 weeks of July, we were at 65 and a half.
And he posted about it too.
He did post about it.
Called you out.
Yeah, he's pretty freaking excited, as you can imagine. And so, and I'll be honest with you, like right now, if I go look at his numbers, we're riding around 52% on average for everything that's happened altogether. This was obviously going to be a high rise because I was controlling everything. But then when I kind of step back and I go, okay, Dan, like we're at this place and you can do the things. And now Dan's doing the things. So we have a little fun stuff that we're doing now to kind of like bring it. I want to get it up into the, my number's 55. Y'all have numbers for things that you want to hit, and if you don't hit those numbers, it's not going to be enough. Mine's 55. So if I'm not at 55 or higher with open rates on average, or anything that I send for that matter, I'm not happy. And so 52 is okay for me, but I'm not going to be happy until we get it to 55 on average. So back to 55. But anyway, that was pretty incredible. I had a lot of fun with that one. But here's the deal. Email's not dead. So don't let anybody tell you that. In fact, it's very alive. It's very, very alive. Anyway, so I look at open rates across all kinds of things, but when I'm looking at open rates, I'm looking at them usually first at the domain level. And then, not the domain level, sorry, the email level, not the domain level. Don't look at open rates at the domain level. Look at them at the email level. So I look at them at the individual email. Did this email get an open rate that I like? Did this email get an open rate that I like? But when I'm looking at a situation like this where I'm going to start helping somebody, and I just need to know, like, how big is this mess that I'm about ready to start cleaning up? I looked at all emails he had sent and what the open rate was across them all as an average. Yeah, but then we have to start diving into individual emails to look at it. Okay.